What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to give you a quick overview of some of the data points, break it down on what is really driving it higher, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. Starting off, at the time of doing this video, SoFi is up a very astonishing 4.01%. 808 so far is the high, 763 is the low, 30.8 million shares being traded, 38.9 is the average. No actual news from the company itself, no new analyst ratings, no SEC documents. It is just SoFi piggybacking off of the broader market's optimism. And in reality, big money is buying the hell out of SoFi, both on the secondary market and dark pool. So these are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. Majority, pretty much 90% or 95% of all of them are buys. And then these are all the transactions that have occurred on the dark pool. So this is now the second consecutive day that shorts are probably realizing that they have overextended themselves and they might be a little bit in a tough scenario. So over this last little bit, shorts have been really doubling down. And in my opinion, I don't really understand the basis of that. Like, were they anticipating negative data? Because they started to increase even after, for instance, CPI and also PPI. So it doesn't logically make sense. And basically going into this week, you knew that there was going to be, at the very bare minimum, a 25 basis point cut. And now it did go up a little bit more. So now there is a 59% likelihood of a 50 basis point cut. And then you have some people chatting about a 75. I don't see the 75 being feasible, but still, it doesn't logically make sense for shorts. So right now they're returning around 318,000 shares. At its peak, they were returning around 1.5 million shares. So that is what kickstarted basically this right here. And then I think a lot of this is just FOMO, but 19.23% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 201.33 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 0.8, and then utilization is 51.08. So if SoFi did have something in their back pocket as far as a very big piece of news, a surprise catalyst, if they unveil it now, that would be definitely a big punch in the face to shorts, but we'll just have to wait and see. Nonetheless, though, this is a nice technical breakout as well, so a lot of things is all happening, but right now people's appetite for risk is increasing. So the fear and greed index is under the neutral category, and even Gavin did post this, and I remember, I think it was 2021, beginning of 2022, any IPO that came out went up instantly, like insane numbers. And I think Rivian is a very good example of that. So India just had its biggest IPO of the year and is trading 130% at the open. So that kind of goes to show that risk is on. So people's appetite for risk is very much there. And yeah, honestly, I think that is definitely a good thing, because stocks that are possibly seen as risky in the eyes of Wall Street, SoFi potentially could be seen as that. This is where you'll see big money starting to gravitate a little bit more, and you've seen that over the last little bit. So every single video I bring up who's buying it, volume, and stuff like that. So yeah, in reality, this is maybe the kind of tide before SoFi gets back into double digits. We'll just have to wait and see. As far as options, a lot of money is getting into SoFi through options. 8.61 million in calls, 1.2 million in puts. 51% of all the options being done today are optimistic and bullish, and clearly based on this, just between 11:30 and 11:35, 1.1 million in premiums just within that 5 minutes. So big money is definitely looking at SoFi today. These are some of the call options that are being purchased today. As I've always said, kind of just look at the closest strike price, subtract that out of the mix, and you see the true optimism. So you do actually see actual genuine optimism, and this one stood out as well. So this was purchased today, so 7,000 at that 10, so March 21st 2025 expiry dates. So yeah, definitely interesting stuff. This is the current outlook for the open interest. So you do have, looks like 20,000 at that 7, 24,000 at the 750, 52,000 at the 8. So I know today is Monday. A lot is going to change later this week with rate cuts and whatever else. But if SoFi is able to close above $8, this will be a very good example of a gamma squeeze, because just based on options, that's basically around 10 million in shares. So definitely, yeah, things could get very, very real, very, very fast. Again, that's dependent on big money continuing to buy, and as well, most likely dependent on a 50 basis point cut. So still, I think today is more of the market realizing that a 50 basis point cut is truly going to happen. So I think that's also getting priced in. So for whatever reason, if Powell is off that day and only does a 25 or doesn't do anything, then yeah, I think that might change the dynamic of absolutely everything. But right now with that 805, it is trading between this R2 and this R3. So definitely outperforming a lot of other fintechs, a lot of other growth stocks. It's getting the green light from the market to continue higher. 802 is a strong support, and then 840 is going to be that next strong resistance / target. As I've shown you last video, I think it came out yesterday or Saturday or whenever else, 772 was a strong pivot for SoFi based on the Elliott Wave technicals. So for as long as it is above that, then it is anticipated to kind of hit the high 8s. So things could definitely continue higher and higher, and with rate cuts, then that might actually even blow these numbers out of the water. So kind of just stay tuned for that. But on the actual chart itself, this is a very good V, nice breakout sign right there. But you are also seeing stochastic getting a little bit higher. Again, if it does continue on to its trajectory, so if it gets around that 830, 840-ish range, then this is where you could get it back at that overbought status, and it might rinse and repeat. But generally, SoFi is moving in the higher direction. As long as you are having higher lows than the previous, the technicals are still looking good, which obviously you can kind of see around 675-ish was the low here. Previous one was 6. So in general, trend is showing higher. Number of retail investors are getting in. And yeah, I think everyone is happy. Not really many people can complain about this unless you are shorting it. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with SoFi? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.